person coming? We'll do a roll call, please.
Warren here.
Good here.
Gamelke here.
Mijares here.
Weatherford here.
George Jones, messaged me last night. He's on a trip traveling and he cannot zoom in as he has a meeting this morning that conflicts with this time. And Eric Cabrera will be here in about 10 minutes. That's the message I got. So we're gonna resume with who we have. Do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? So we have the November minutes, which we need to approve. Because we didn't have a quorum in December and we didn't have them the last time. So does anybody have any concerns with approving the November minutes?
Warren moves to approve the November 2024 and the January 7th, 2025 minutes.
Mijares second.
We need to take a roll call. I think we do, yeah. Do we need to take a vote on that, on the minutes? Yes,
Yes.
good.
Oh, good, yes.
Gamelke, yes.
Mijares, yes.
Weatherford, yes. Warren, yes.
Any unfinished business? Anybody have anything? Okay. All right, no new business. Says Wagner, but I guess we'll accept you for Mr. Weaver.
Here comes.
Much better looking. Good morning, everybody.
Mark.
Tava, there's not a whole lot I can report other than construction is proceeding. It is moving along as fast as it can. We need to pray for good weather. Like this week for the next 3 or 4 months would be just great. Yeah, that weather, when it was cold, remember it was at 0 and below 0, that shut the project down for a week. So we don't need any more of that. So any questions, y'all? Everything's proceeding just great.
Good. The foundation's all done?
Yes,
They get a rough on plumbing or anything like that in yet?
I don't think that started yet. Not yet.
Hasn't yet.
Can I ask kind of
Please.
what that
Mr. Good.
music festival that's
Yes,
going in and all? How's that gonna set up over there? Do you know?
yes, sir. As you were looking, you're standing at Tava and you're looking at the peak. Other side of the ditch, if that's where that festival seating, the stage and the seating and that sort of thing is gonna be on that
In the
side.
southwest corner of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
We've got great cooperation from Mr. Weatherford to help with that, to provide space and room and access through his property. So it's been good. And that's full on, everybody. That's July 5th. It's a Saturday. I believe it's July 5th.
Are all the permits in place for that?
No, they're not. Okay, all right.
But we-
Sorry, that the festival's a little bit more of a Derek. That's his thing. But he's got acts signed up. He's, he's hard charging. He's going. Cool. Any other question? Thank you, Mr. Good.
No, but thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? Thanks, Mark.
Okay, sure.
So as you all know, Mr. Perry resigned and his resignation letter is in this packet. And thank you, Tony Perry, for your time and service. We really appreciate it. So that being said, anybody here hopping to be the next treasurer? No.
No.
Well, that brings up a problem, Mr. Good.
No, sir. I don't do it at my business, so.
I don't know that we can, appoint Eric since he's not here by default.
I think that's a good reason.
He did do it once before. Why don't we just wait? We'll just come back to that once he's here and we'll ask him if he might do it. Oh, yes, so I did read. Next is, it's about the postings of the meetings. And I did highlight that this morning. Did anybody have any questions about that? We had talked about doing the postings online through the city's website and not doing a physical posting like, I think before we used to have to post in 2 different spots around the city. And we would like to just do that on the city's website now. And that is it is towards the back of your packet. It's just one page, says page 1 and 2, just before the billings. Did anybody read that? No, that's not. Where is that?
Resolution 1, 2 pages.
Where's that at?
Is that right? Yeah, it's right after Tony's resignation.
Way up there.
And for the resolution, the Colorado Open Meetings Law requires that local governments, authorities included, basically do a resolution at the beginning of the year providing notice to the public and also its decision on where it's going to post notice of its meeting. And it's pretty common for notices to be posted on a website now. And in the event that a website is down or not available, there's a backup physical location for posting. This actually mimics what was in place for the authority already. This is just more of a maintenance and upkeep from an administrative purpose for each year. And you would vote, someone would move second and then vote to approve the resolution.
How long does it need to be posted?
24 hours.
20
Bourne moves to approve resolution 01 series 2025, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Woodland Park Downtown Development Authority designating the public place for posting of notices of regular and special meetings of the authority.
Mijares second.
Scroll up to the resignation letter.
Wrong way here.
Jerry,
Good, yes.
Gamelki, yes.
Mijares, yes.
Weatherford, yes.
And Bourne, yes.
So then I sign this. See, it's got it here for me to sign, and then do I give that? Who do I give that to? Yeah.
You will sign it and then you can determine.
Okay,
who you're giving it to.
okay. We don't have a secretary now, so. What's that?
It would be the secretary. It technically would be the secretary on the board or the vice chair. Who is the secretary?
Al Bourne's the secretary. So we'll go back to so we're looking for a treasurer, Mr. Cabrera. Might you be interested, since you're the only one that wasn't here? We kind of appointed you while you weren't here, but I figured I better wait to tell you.
Thank you, I accept.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very,
Since I was voluntold to do it.
very much. Thank you, sir. We'll try to
That's
make
what
it,
happened the last time.
yes, we'll try to make it as easy on you as possible.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
Yes,
So David Mijares would motion that Eric Cabrera accept the role of secretary moving. Treasurer, sorry, moving forward.
Weatherford seconds the motion. Ready to vote?
yes, please.
Oh, Born, yes.
Good, yes.
Cabrera, yes.
Melky, yes.
Mijares, yes.
Weatherford, yes.
Thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah.
All right. Josh, I think this is where we're gonna talk about the micro grants.
Yes, there. Me too. Morning board, as you'll know, we had our work session about 2 weeks ago. Where we discussed the EDA's micro grant program. From that work session, I took the information that I received from the board. And put it into the micro grant program. Today. We can discuss the language that is in the micro grant program, if there's anything that y'all would want to have changed. There are some parameters, from legal perspectives that will limit the abilities of the board to create a micro grant program. For example, if you wanted to include property that was outside the boundaries, that's one thing that becomes a little questionable. So I tried to take what your direction was, and get as close as possible to what your intent was. I left a little flexibility in the program as well, while at the same time providing, more objective criteria for applications to meet, to be able to get the grant. I'm open to questions, and basically today, if you move to approve the program, you're moving to approve the program substantially in the form that it is now, while also authorizing our office, while working with the chair to get ancillary documents into place, and make any kind of technical changes to the procedure of the program for clarity purposes for the public.
Did everybody have a chance to read this or look over this? And if so, does anybody have any questions or concerns? I see that where it says on page 3 on the bottom where it says award the grant. And it's left that open. Is that a number that we need to decide here? On the bottom, it says the board shall review and complete the applications. And
That
then,
is one of those technical, yes, sir, I see that, the blank that's down there.
Yeah.
That's actually the entity body or person who will actually physically receive or electronically receive the applications. And that wasn't decided at the last, no decisions were made at the work session, but that's one of those that I wasn't sure if it's going to be a city, a specific department with the city, or a person.
We talked-
on the board.
the last time I was here, I believe it was
Our grants department, correct?
yeah,
And so this is one of those things that I would talk with the city afterwards and fill that blank in. with
Okay.
Technical information that's correct.
okay.
Yeah.
And on page 4, not a big deal, but there's one typo on the very bottom sentence where it says regular meeting, there's an L after regular. I don't know. My fat fingers didn't do it.
Okay, on page 4, right? Yeah.
At the very bottom line,
Not sure why my word thinks
Spell
that
check
that was a
didn't get it,
word.
yeah.
and then on page 5, is this for us to figure out today? There's a lot of blanks here that need to be filled in.
And these again are gonna be the technical considerations, so interested applicants encouraged to first call the grant department to be able to get specifics about timing, who to provide it to.
So you don't need us to make any of these decisions today, Josh? Did we already discuss all these? We're just waiting to fill them in?
So, correct. So this is basically all the information about the grants department.
Okay,
And if there's a specific name or title of a person with that department and their contact information.
okay. We had one member questioning, and I think you already answered that just a few minutes ago about when we might actually see a grant proposal. And I do believe you already answered that. On the second page of the grant agreement, there's a blank that says grant award on number 3. Is that a number, we did agree on 5,000. Is that a number that we need to put in today? Is that why it's blank? Or is this just a form that we're not, I don't, in looking through, I saw that that was blank.
So for the grant program amount, the way that I have it drafted is it's up to $5,000 award.
Mhm.
So if someone comes to you and says they want to do a project and their estimate is $4,000, then it would be within your ability as the board to grant them an award of 4,000
Yes,
versus 5,000.
yes,
And you do that because it allows for you to keep track of, if you have multiple grants that are 4,000 or 3,000, you would be able to do more than 30, awards. So that's why that blank is there, because it's really it would be filled in after you as the board made the award. So it wouldn't be more than 5,000, but it could technically be less.
okay,
And that's one of those where I left some, I don't want to say necessarily wiggle room, but some flexibility for the board.
gotcha. And then not the next page, these aren't numbered, so it's a little bit confusing. There'd be 7, so on item 7 and then on D. Again, there's a 0 amount there. Is that a number that, do we need input on that, or is that?
No, so this language is basically informing that if there's a material modification to the scope of the project, so if they come to you and say, we want to do a sign or put in a bench, and they don't do either of those things, so there's a material modification to the scope, just because they've been awarded in a grant, doesn't mean that they're going to get that money. Even though they might do something different, landscaping that wasn't approved. So this basically is just saying that the amount of the grant can actually be adjusted down all the way to $0.
Okay, okay, thank you. And then on 10, so the next page, 10C, and I wanted the board's input on this one. And I can read it, or you can all read it. I guess I could read it out loud. It says, at the board's option and direction, grantee shall erect and maintain a sign at a prominent location on the property, which may be determined by the board, acknowledging the assistance of the DDA for completing the project. The DDA shall either provide such signs at no cost to grantee or provide reproducible samples of its logo to grantee for custom signs. Are we interested in doing this? Do we have to do that? Does anybody have any input on that?
You're not required to do that. It's a
Correct.
common clause that goes into grant programs. It's,
That's why
the word.
I figured that was such,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to ask the board's opinion to see what they thought on something like that.
Well, it says option, right? So.
Yes,
So it's nothing that we gotta.
we don't have to, but if we leave it in, then I'd want to. That's all I'm saying. Do we want to or not? That's the question to the board. Hmm?
I don't think it's necessary to do that.
It's kind of cool, but then I don't know that it's necessarily necessary either. But it is, but so I don't. It
It can even
doesn't,
be small signs. Yeah,
8.5 by
Simple,
11 or
yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
what we decide.
hmm?
It's just, partially funded.
Sponsored by-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think we could go as far as provide the signs, but not care. Follow up. If they want to put them up, they want to put them up. I don't know that we need to make it a requirement or even have this clause in the agreement.
So then we can just take it out. That's why I'm asking. So what is the feeling? Figure out.
I would think we take it out and not require it as a clause since we're not concerned about the advertisement. I would agree.
Is that something I need to take a vote on, Josh, or is that just something we can do?
No, it's just direction.
Okay.
And whenever you approve the documents on your motion,
Okay,
you would basically say you're approving the grant program and the ancillary documents included based on the direction that y'all provide me today.
okay. So I think, that being said, I think the flavor of the board is we don't necessarily want that part in.
So take out section 10C.
Yes, please. And then at the bottom of that page, item number 13, it says inspections. And from what I read on that, I would think that we need to appoint 1 or 2 people that will actually go and look at the job at its completion. That's what that's asking. So do we want it to be a board member? Do we want it to be somebody outside the board? I mean, that's just something we need, I think that's saying we need to decide that today, right, Josh?
Actually, on that one, you could decide that after today,
Okay,
because this is the contract agreement that the person or entity that receives an award would enter into. So we won't actually even sign this contract with them until, after May, once y'all have made awards. And you can always take action at another meeting where y'all make a decision on who you would want to go out and inspect the property.
that being said, if we don't make a decision today, can you guys at least think about that question so that it's not?
Well, the way I read it, it
Uh,
gives you the right to do it, not necessarily a procedure that is done every time. So if you have questions and all, then at that point, we could assign somebody to investigate it, right? It wouldn't be standard.
I don't think that it's so much investigating, it's just to make sure the project is done.
Correct, and, Spirit is correct that the way it's written, it allows you the ability to have someone go look at it, but it's not a requirement. So you wouldn't have someone necessarily designated to go look at every single project. Just so y'all are aware of that.
I guess I didn't, so we don't need to designate a person. What you're saying, it can be, we can just say, hey, Eric, will you go look at that job before we pay them? Or hey, Al, will you look at that? It can be that simple?
Correct, and I mean, if it would be best if you did that whenever you were at a meeting,
Okay,
providing direction as the
Okay.
board to a person.
okay,
But I'm saying it could occur on a case by case
Okay.
basis as needed through a public action.
okay. All right, thank you for that. That was all that I had questions about. Does anybody else have anything on this? I liked it. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm excited to be a step closer.
It's my pleasure. And it's, lots of little steps to get us to the end line.
Guys, I guess I'll speak aloud about my comment before, and that is the way it's written here, and I'm not sure where. It's more, it appears like it's a cosmetic funding. So it wouldn't be for the business owner that had a furnace go out or something. Is that kind of how this is written up?
I think that's a good question. The way that I drafted the program was to provide the board more flexibility in being able to decide what would be a benefit to the public. And if the board was to, in such a circumstance, decide that a public building having a furnace that had people coming into it and their ability to feel comfortable inside that building because of a furnace would be a benefit to the public as well as that business itself. So it's not just beautification. It's also to help deter what could become blight. So if the board was to say, well, once you have no AC or you have no furnace, people won't go there, you lose business. See how I'm kind of using that logical step. So I did draft it to provide that kind of flexibility.
Well, that clarifies it then. I kind of view this as a shot in the arm to a business. Okay, and that shot may take different criteria to keep them going and successful. So anyway, if you
And to
got
clarify
latitude.
though, this is drafted for residential and commercial. So if someone from a residential standpoint was wanting to get their furnace replaced, that would clearly not be a benefit to the public. So it would not be something that would be done. So residential is more of going to be an exterior beautification because the public, when they're walking up and down the sidewalks, are going to be seeing it. It encourages people to be in this area because of those kind of visual aspects. Whereas with businesses, you, especially retail, you do have people going inside to commercially public facing areas, especially. So it's really understanding that whenever you're talking about a grant program and you're using funds of the DDA, which may or may not be including some tax dollars, you're wanting to make sure those dollars in grant funds are going towards the public's benefit. So there is that difference.
Good question. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
My pleasure.
Yeah, because I wondered that, I wondered the same thing along that line when I read it too. So that's good.
In my question, there's a couple of references to the application as either Exhibit A or Exhibit B. Do we need to come up with a formal application to be part of the submittal of the project, or at least guidelines for what would constitute a complete application?
So, excuse me, I did receive guidance from y'all on the application. I'm working with city on getting a application form from them that meets your,
Okay.
designated guidelines.
Thank you. So, Mr. Impatient that I am, when might we have an application if we approve this? When might we see an application that we could approve?
So working with you would be an application that, I would basically get it from the city. I plan on talking to them today, walking over there today.
Great.
That and a couple other documents truthfully. And then I can put it together and send it to you, so that way you can say, yes, this is what we've talked about as the board. But today, basically, the resolution will give the authority for me as the attorney for the board, working in concert with you to get that approved. And if any point in time, a board member was to see it and say, that is not what I like, they could always bring it back, to the board for y'all to vote on changing it.
So conceivably, the program could be active in the next month where we're ready to receive applications? Or-
Yes.
I would think by the next meeting, we'll have an application that you can at least review. Whether you all approve it, we'll have to see.
Yeah, and then just, I think we need to, we're hitting our timeframes where I think by next month's meeting, we need to be active to hit that. Give people 6 weeks to put a project together.
Is it possible that we could have it emailed to everybody and people could look at it and have any input at the meeting or before the meeting? Is it possible to make changes before the next meeting if some people had some things they wanted altered, so that at the next meeting, we actually had the submittal, the process in place? Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible. I can submit it to the board members. The only thing that we would want to avoid is any kind of discussion between all of you, because then it becomes a meeting and that needs to be done from the public. But getting direction back from individual board members, me personally, and then
Yeah.
making those tweaks to the application.
So we couldn't vote on them then, is what you're saying, without.
Not
yeah.
until the next.
No,
Yeah.
and I mean, even technically, you don't really have to vote on it at the next meeting. But we can also do that. It might be more comfortable for everyone.
So then we'd have an application in April. We did that. Cause the next meeting would be approving it and then coming back with an application in April.
No, I think the goal would be to approve the application at next meeting and make the program active. And maybe there's a couple tweaks that we make in the meeting, but a couple days after that, we could have the program active.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
Because what we bring you will be something that the DDA's attorney's office and the city will feel comfortable with from a legal perspective. So it'll literally be, I would say, cosmetic changes to the form or just taking out specific language, but I think what we bring you will be ready to go out.
Okay. Thanks so much for all your work.
My pleasure. Happy to help.
Does anybody else have any questions? Al, do you have anything?
Nothing
Jerry,
additional, thank you.
Jerry,
No, sir.
Mr. Cabrera?
No, sir.
Thank you for showing up. I know you're busy, real busy. Do you have any,
I'm good.
no? All right. So on the very last page of that, page 1 of 2, not a big deal, but it wants me to sign, but my name is spelled wrong. There's an H in it. I don't think you did it because you and I already had a discussion. I haven't seen you spell it again since. But do I need to sign this one? Because it's asking me to sign it, approved and adopted this 4th day of February. It's asking myself and Al to sign. Is that something we need to sign and give to you?
So you're going to do a motion to approve the resolution,
Okay,
which is resolution number 2, series 2025, or you would call for a motion. To do that, it would be your second. The only adjustment I would make. Let me make sure I'm reading the language. In your motion, you can say that you're moving to approve resolution 2, series 2025. Conditioned on the direction given by the board today for the slight revisions to the documents that are part of the packet. Or you can just approve the resolution as it is, and I'll still make those revisions because it gives me the authority to do so.
mhm. No more questions? No, everybody's good with what we have?
Mihatis motions to approve resolution 2, series 2025 regarding the microgrant program with the revisions requested by the board this morning that will be completed by the board attorney.
Born will second.
Take a vote.
Born, yes.
Good, yes.
Cabrera, yes.
Gamelke, yes.
Mihatis, yes.
Weatherford, yes.
And so motion passes.
Motion passes. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we will bring the supplemental appropriation to council on February 20th with second reading on March 6th. So that'll be for the appropriation to actually approve this in the budget. So we'll have to wait until the 7th at the earliest to receive any applications.
Thank you so much. Thank you, board, thank you. That's it. That's all I got. Did I miss something here? So we have, you agreed to be our treasurer, correct?
Yeah. we do.
Okay. So you're the treasurer and the vice chair. Is that doable? All right.
One more item on the microgrant program is any advertisement of that? I mean, I guess we've got Pat here today, so there'll be some notification that this program's upcoming, but I don't know if we have anything on the city website or.
We will, that's why we had our communications manager here for the work session. We'll make sure that we put out a full press as soon as everything is approved. So yes, we will.
So what's that? Pat, will you put something out there too, once we get a little farther? Okay, and then is there a conflict with? I just have a little of board business. Is there a conflict if Eric is the treasurer? Can he also be the vice chair? I don't know is that a conflict? Is that doable?
I would need to read your bylaws a little closer when it comes to the ability to have, it's not uncommon, but it's usually controlled by bylaws.
Just temporary?
So we replace Mr. Perry.
It can just be temporary and then we can so we do have an open seat and we have one applicant that has applied. There may be more that apply. So do we want to just do this as a temporary measure and then do another? Would that just be that we would just be asking for a possible? I don't know how that would be, because we wouldn't vote on all the members. It would just be the treasurer once we have another member seated. Is that what we're saying? Would we revote or?
Tony, which month is it where we reshuffle? July. Is when the big reshuffle would happen.
So yeah,
Tony?
the only temporary.
Some of the stuff with this vice chair, because they always stuff that it turns on the problem. Probably won't happen. Treasurer is more important.
Anybody have any input?
Let me take a look at the bylaws. I can provide y'all a quick memo on it. And then we can put it on the next agenda on if you're going to do a vice chair as not combined with treasurer. But I do agree that treasurer is an important role to have due to the finances of the board, and having a person who is authorized to do that would be good to have in place right now.
Okay.
Step down there. Right.
Not necessarily. We're gonna discuss it. No,
Volunteer.
you want to be treasurer and not the vice?
Important role, that means. Well,
Is that something we need to decide right now is what you're saying?
If he's stepping down as vice chair today and he's making that official, then because the election of the vice chair position is not on your agenda today, there's been no notice posted of it for the public. So we really wouldn't want to take any action as the board to vote in a vice chair today.
Right,
But you have voted in the treasurer. So it might be that the vice chair's position is empty. And then at the next meeting, y'all would have an election on the vice chair. Again, we're really trying to make sure we're being open to the public and clear on the actions that the board is taking.
okay. Thanks. So do I need to be clear here? You are stepping down as vice chair today
Yes.
and accepting the treasurer role?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll iron it all out at the next meeting, is what we're saying. Or once we have a new member seated and we have a meeting.
Yes,
Okay. Some reason that makes me sad, but I guess it's fine. Not a big deal. Thank you. All right, does anybody have any comments about this? Deb, did you have any input on this? You good with it? Sure, please.
So the area in which you talked about the board going out to inspect, right after that is where they're in breach of contract. if someone's not inspecting or someone's not looking at this, how can you know that they're in breach of contract?
We are gonna go look at them before we approve.
Before, well, but I thought you were gonna take that line out about inspection.
No, it
Okay,
was the.
then I misunderstood.
Cause that was at the bottom. We weren't taking, I was just questioning that one if we needed to assign somebody today for that position.
Okay,
The
So
part we
there-
took out was at the top, the whole big paragraph at the top.
so there will be someone from your board that will
Yes.
go do that.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I misunderstood what you said.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. It says board chair report. So again, we have one person named Jason Ludley who has applied for the open position of on the DDA. He cannot be here for the next city council meeting, which was going to look at that and approve or disapprove. And so I've talked to Aaron and he said it would be at not this meeting, but the next meeting, city council meeting, is when they would interview Jason Ludley. He owns, which used to be Righteous Grounds, and now it's Solid Grounds. And he and his wife own that, and they're members of the community and very likable, super business oriented, very nice people. So they're in he's in Australia right now. He was hoping to be here, but he can't get back out of Australia until the 8th. So, and then I'm just super happy that everybody worked with us on this micro grants. It's been a long process and I'm super, super happy about it. So thank you very much, everybody here. And since since we just threw this at you, I will do the treasurer report today. How's that? You got it? Okay, so the treasurer report will be from Mr. Cabrera. We already paid this, by the way.
Looks like we got one invoice to Macau, Cox and Caskin LPA in the amount of $1,166.50. And that has been paid. It's up to date. It was signed by Chair Gumelki and previous treasurer, Mr. Perry. That is located. Those are the last two pages.
Yes.
It's in the back of the packet. And I will be more prepared for the treasurer role by next meeting.
Next is board member reports. Do any board members have anything they'd like to talk about or any reports? Mr. Good?
No, sir.
Mr.
Or no,
Bourne?
no,
Mr. Cabrera?
No, sir.
No.
Arden?
Yeah, I'd like to revisit a couple of things we set in motion. On the Voss building, in the November minutes, you said that the city attorney was working on a plan. Have we seen that plan?
We have not yet. The city attorney is working on a memo for us on all of the options we have for condemnation, which apparently must be pretty comprehensive because we have not received that yet.
Does the attorney know they're doing that?
Yes, yeah,
This was November, we were expecting something in 30 days.
no.
Now it's February. This just keeps dragging on here.
Yeah, the city attorney's office is drafting the memo and then it'll have to go before council before any action can be taken. So the DDA board has no authority over a condemnation process. It will have to go to council.
Yeah, we kind of set it in that direction and there it sits.
Yes.
Okay, on the Bergstrom Park project,
Yes.
you do have a contract now with the,
Bergstrom Park, we have everything lined up. What we've been waiting on is back in October, we filled out a grant application with the state to see if we can get some planning grant money so the city wouldn't have to pay for those. We have not received a response back. We've received that, they received our application, it's been processed, but we haven't received the funding. So we have to receive the funding before we can actually sign the contract itself. If we sign the contract, we become ineligible for the grant funding. So that's the reason. If you go through the state process and you do the planning grant, you become eligible for additional funding possibly if we actually do construction at the Bergstrom Park. So it behooves us to try to get this planning grant up front so that there may be more state funding available as we move forward. But that's been the holdup. Normally those take 30 to 60 days. It's been a little longer than we normally see on that one.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, in the January minutes, we've entered a contract with the consultant.
We
So-
have everything hammered out with the contract. What we were battling back and forth on was the parking plan because it was getting pretty pricey. So we have everything set. We just haven't signed anything.
Okay, because we agreed to pay for half of that.
25,000, up to 25,000, correct?
Okay, so for the rest of it is what you're
Yes.
looking.
The city's obviously gonna have to pay for some of it, but we'd like to get some state funding if that's possible.
Okay, how long is that gonna take?
We were hoping to already have that signed, so if we don't have that done by the end of the month at the latest, then we're probably just gonna move forward without the state funding, but we really were hoping to get it.
Okay, because I would think you've already selected this consultant. You just haven't signed the deal.
More or less, yes, yeah.
Okay. But once that is done, I would think it'd be an appropriate time for us to meet these people and have another work session.
And we will. The second that we sign the contract, we plan on setting up that work session between the DDA and the Historic Preservation Committee. And the PRAB, of course, because PRAB will be leading the project. So we'll have a joint work session with all three groups the second that we do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Yeah, I got a question. What's the sense of urgency about condemning the Voss building?
And nothing's happening. So something's gotta, I don't see this going 100% all the way to the end. This is a way to get them to the table. As Tony told us before about his back and forth with these people, those conversations simply stopped. So I just see this as getting them to the table. At some point, you strike a deal.
Well,
This is
could I
taking their
propose?
property.
Yeah, has anybody talked to them?
They won't,
They won't talk?
they won't respond. That's been the problem. If I can speak, I don't, it's nothing that anybody wants to do. We're just trying to, it's like, do something, please.
Yeah,
And they won't come to the table. They won't respond at all. That's what we've been told. I haven't personally tried to call them, but the people that have called them and reached out, they won't even respond, Jerry. Like there's zero, there's zilch, there's nada. And so that's why I think that this process has started. Arden, if I can speak, I'm not speaking for him, but what I've gathered from the conversation that we had, what I came out with is this is just a way to force them to come to the table. And if not, then we will move forward with it. We don't want, nobody wants that. Maybe some do. I don't want that, but we do want them to come to the table. It doesn't look very nice. That's all I'm gonna say. And it could look better. And so we're just asking for them to step up and to do something. And to at least or accept our help. We can't even get them to call back to say, hey, we're willing to help. We've got this grant program. You know what I mean? You could use that to beautify the front of it until you decide to do something. They won't even respond to that. I mean, do you have a number? Can you call them?
no, but I would be more than willing to be part of a twosome or something that would actually have a designated contact and see if we can't get some communication. Right now, I just hear that they're doing that. I mean, who's officially done that? Evidently, Tony.
Tony, because Tony has done a lot of this legwork previous to his resigning. So perhaps we can hear from Tony.
So this has been reported for several years. We probably need some coffee brought to these meetings. I met with them 3 times in person, at least 4 or 5 phone calls. There were always excuses, even with the city, tried to get in touch with them on a particular issue related to the city and their building. They did not respond, and it was in their best interest to do so. So we have made great efforts, Mr. Good. I will give you their number. I've also provided, as you know, and I mentioned before in the meeting, if we were listening, that Steve Plute and Linda Allred, the architect, who are very interested in preserving this building, met with them for lunch because I gave up. I only have so much time to reach out to people who are unresponsive. And so I gave them his number and his mom's number and told them, hey, you want to save the building? You try to get in touch with them, try to get them to do something. So I would be happy to provide that to Mr. Good. and look forward to hearing how it goes for you.
Well, I'd appreciate that. Very much. I just need in my mind to know that everything has been done that can be done. And I'm not questioning that you didn't or all. I would just feel more comfortable than.
Well, a couple of things we have to remember. So we did the best we could as a board. It is out of our hands. This board has no standing to start any kind of condemnation. That's only for the city to do if they choose to do so. This board can recommend condemnation. And I concur with Mr. Gamelke, Mr. Weatherford, that none of us as business owners, property owners, want the government taking our property away. But I do agree with Mr. Weatherford. They have to sit down and at least be reasonable. And, you know, there's been all kinds of excuses from them in the times that I have communicated with them, but no movement. And it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. So I'll get you their number, Jerry, and we'll see what happens. Someone might get through to them. Who knows? I don't know. But we've done everything we can, I assure you that. This board has bent over backwards to try to communicate. And we'll just see where it goes.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Anything else, Arden? Any other subject?
Just a quick follow-up to Berk's prep, just Aaron wants you to know, I have a lot of survey-based information, so make sure those consultants contact me to get that
Absolutely, yeah.
before they.
Says city attorney's report. I don't see a city attorney. I see our attorney here, but not the city attorney, so.
Working out a plan.
So if nobody has anything else, I say we adjourn this meeting.
Good.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Move to adjourn.